And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special E3 Spectacular of Game Rivals! I'm super excited to be here. I hope our guest is also super excited to be here. I'm your host, Maximilian X, and as always with me is the amazing, the spectacular, the one and only Sean Templar. How's it going, Sean?
Maybe you should add the deafened Sean Templar to that list, because I think my eardrums just blew out because of your excitement. But besides that, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, I'm great. Awesome. That's good to hear. This is a kind of surprise-ish, not really surprises. We've done this before once. That's mostly because we did it in our first year, and last year there was no E3 to speak of. Welcome to the E3 special episode. This is one of two that we're going to be doing. I'm here as always, of course. Sean Templar is here, and we have with us our friend of the show, the Star Wars fanatic, the expert, the one of only, Havoc. How's it going, Havoc?
Well, we're still live after that media blew out of yesterday. My head is still sizzling around. I don't know what I saw yesterday, but I'm loving it, and it's good to be a gamer at this time. So yeah, let's bring it on.
All right, that's great. Have you been able to keep up with everything so far that's been going on, including Games Fest and everything else around it?
Yeah. I mean, this E3 is easier to cover than ever, because I remember last E3s I had to stay up all night and make like weeks without sleep and that kind of stuff. But it's all in pretty good time zones right now. So yeah, it's easy to catch up, and it's not that much. So if you miss something, you could just watch it an hour later. So yeah, this is the most easy E3 to get by.
Awesome, great. And that is something that I will attest to. A lot of the stuff that we've been able to watch have been at more acceptable times, because I remember back in the day when you were watching the press conferences, they were relatively okay to follow, except for Sony, because here it would be 3 a.m. in the morning, and you're like, why? I want to go to bed, and you're falling asleep, and then you wake up, and then it's the end of the presentation, and you have to watch it again anyways in the morning while you're still groggy.
Generally, that 3 a.m. slot, if you watched it, it was one of the best shows to watch. So you wouldn't go to bed disappointed. You would go to bed with super excitement. So
yeah, but would you be able to retain it after being so tired?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody does that. Everybody just watches the stuff back again. Like the first time you see it, you're blown away, and then the second time you watch it, you'll. I'm going to give an example, and it's just it's not because Havoc is here, but it's popped into my mind, and I don't know if it's slippery territory I'm on. But when I went to The Last Jedi, for example, the first time I watched it, I was blown away. I was like, whoa, this is so awesome. Holy shit, whoa. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, what? I really don't like this movie. Now, I don't know what your opinion is on it, but that's kind of like an example on how sometimes stuff wows you the first time, and then maybe the second time the wow factor is still there, or maybe the second time the wow factor is gone. I don't know how your stance is towards it, The Last Jedi, but...
Well, if we go into The Last Jedi, I think this podcast will go for like 4 or 5 hours. But I think I saw it 20 times now, and I love it.
Okay. But Summer Games Fest kicked it off, right, on Thursday?
Yes, the Summer of Keighley.
The Summer of Keighley.
Yeah. It's been that was a really good way to start it off, because I feel having something to lead up to the actual press conferences, it feels a lot more engaging, because we had, not just that, we had a bunch of other stuff. We had we talked about it in the previous episode, the Guerrilla Collective, talking about indie games. They showed off a lot of indie games and stuff like that. And then, of course, we had the kickoff event from Summer Game Fest, which had a lot of cool stuff. Who wants to start it off with what did they like the best from that? Like, what is the thing that caught your eye and you're like, okay, like this is really cool? Because they showed a lot of cool stuff.
I can't remember what they showed off.
I'm trying to remember what they showed off first. I don't really have
the Borderlands spin-off was the opening of the show.
Yeah.
So that completely caught me off guard. I don't know about you guys, but when I saw it first, I was like, okay, because they said it was Gearbox. So my first thought was, okay, it's Borderlands 4. But then they start going on and on. It's like, okay, so it's not Borderlands, but you look at the art style, it is Borderlands. It's like, oh, wait, it's not, it is and it isn't Borderlands at the same time because it's another spin-off game from the perspective, or at least with Tiny Tina as like the main character. Uh, it looks interesting. Magic and guns and dragons, and it seems like it's a D&D-esque kind of game with Tiny Tina as the game master. Um, what did you guys think of that?
I never played a Borderlands game except the Telltale one. I never liked the Borderlands games. I played them on Gamescom or something, but that's about it. This intrigued me. This spoke to that inner nerd in me or something like that. And the voice cast that was announced with it really sounded like it could be a fun game to play with friends. I don't know about the gameplay because I didn't show much about that yet. But yeah, I think this could be a fun game if you have the right friends, a headset, and just go along on an easy night and just play for a couple of hours.
I think that's
Yeah.
that's always been my issue with Borderlands, that I played the first one and I think the second one, but it's really fun to play the games together because you have these crazy adventures you can go on with up to 4 players in co-op, and I think it's always been drop in drop out. But if you play it by yourself, the other characters are no AI team buddies, so you're in this completely vast world all by yourself, and that kind of does take the fun away of it. I mean, the crazy amount of guns they have, they always gloat about that they have millions of guns in the games because there's so many combinations, and then the enemy types are diverse. But the thing that killed it for me as always was that just experience it alone if you play it alone. And if you do find friends to play it, well, I've never finished the game from beginning to start with friends. Always had moments in which they would drop in, drop out. So uh, I don't know if they're going to do the same formula with this one. But it does look really nice, as you say. I kind of got like Game of Thronesy feelings from it because of the dragons, probably, and the magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think they showed a lot of, if at all, gameplay. I think it was all just like cutscene stuff, just to set the mood and everything. But yeah, I will admit, like have it said, the voice cast sounds absolutely stellar. I
Yeah.
mean, they have people reprising their roles, of course, with Ashley Birch reprising her roles, with what is it called again? Huh. Okay. Um, as good grief, Tiny Tina. Jeez Louise. The whole thing is Tiny Tina. I keep forgetting. But yeah, I mean, that's cool to see. After that, she was on stage with Jeff Keighley, of course, because of course Keighley can get Ashley Birch on stage. And they talked about it a little bit more. So it sounds like an interesting concept. They have done something similar like this before. In I I think it was an in-game stuff, like with Tiny Tina being a dungeon master, or like they were playing poker or something like that. I don't know what else they did, but at least that was interesting to see. It kind of reminds me of, remember, like about like I think this was like 10 years ago or something, where Valve had the poker game where they had all the characters from different PC franchises playing poker against each other. Like the Heavy from Team Fortress 2, and Max from Sam and Max, and like a bunch of other characters. And I think there was even a Borderlands character in that. And it's basically just Texas Hold'em, but with those characters. And you play that, and they have the banter and the back and forth. So I think maybe it's kind of that, but just specifically Borderlands, and specifically from the mind of Tiny Tina. So that looked really cool.
They just had me at Will Arnett and Andy Samberg talking to me for hours and hours on end. So let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Batman talking to me. Come on.
All right. So I am going to have to put in a really quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back from our quick break. We're going into the other stuff right now. So one of the things that they announced that I did not see coming from like a galaxy away is a new game in the Metal Slug franchise called Metal Slug Tactics, which is a strategy RPG-ish tactics game based in the Metal Slug world. Now, if you've ever played the Metal Slug games, either in arcade or in the many SNK compilations, you know that Metal Slug is one of the best arcade shooters around. You just run and gun. It's fun times, fun comedy with unique enemies. Like in one, you have zombies, and if they explode near you or if they barf on you, you turn into a zombie, and then you can't use any special guns, just your pea shooter. Um, you can fall from great heights, but you have to actually get killed so that you turn to normal and that you can use normal guns again, for example. You of course have the eponymous Metal Slug tank that you can use to roam around. And in this one, it seems like a very competent tactics game. I'm just really surprised that Metal Slug, of all things, is getting a tactical RPG, strategy RPG. It looks really nice. It retains the art style. It's really clean pixel artwork. I'm really curious to play it. You're facing off against the same enemies as before, but this time in isometric action. I don't know if you like Sean. I don't know if you've played it. I don't know if Havoc has played it.
Nope.
You guys have never played a metal. Wow, I think we need to change that. We need to remedy that someday. Like,
No,
hopefully,
because I've never missed it, and that what you don't know, you don't miss. So,
But I'm so happy
well,
for you.
well, you don't know what
yeah.
you don't know what you're missing out on.
Oh, I do.
You don't know, but it's fine. It's fine. So after that unexpected turn, of course, since it's the summer of Keeley, he had to have one of his best friends on the show, which is of course Hideo Kojima. Now he didn't talk about anything specific. He just shared some of his philosophies, of course, about how it's been working in the pandemic, and stuff like that, and what he feels like, how the game industry and stuff like that, like friendly banter. Um, so outside of that, he did do a one more thing and showed off what
Metal
can only
Gear
be
Stranding.
what can only be described as Metal Gear Stranding, where it was Death Stranding. In you saw Porter Bridges in this very Shadow Moses-y, complex looking place, trying to figure out how to sneak past the guards, and then he finds a box, a
Of oranges.
cardboard box of
An
oranges.
orange box. Yeah.
Which is a reference to Metal Gear also, because if you just type in on Google now Metal Gear Solid box, the first screenshot you'll find is a box from a Solid Snake with a box which actually said oranges on the side.
Ah, okay, that is a deep cut.
Yep.
I wonder if it's a subtle hint to the rumor that's been going around for years now that the Metal Gear Solid remake is in development at Bluepoint, because in that rumor, Kojima's apparently also working on the game. So um, everybody said that Sony was going to announce it last year, but they didn't because they were using it as a counter for if Microsoft announced even more games. But eventually, apparently, they didn't need to because the lineup wasn't as they expected. But the rumors have been going around for like I think a year or now, maybe longer.
I just thought it was a middle finger to his previous employer.
That's also
That's all I got out of it. It's like, I don't need you. I could do my own thing.
Yeah, but unfortunately, with him going away, the Metal Gear franchise basically
Went
died
away.
with like that horrible Metal Gear Survive game.
Pretty much, but it is coming. But at least Death Stranding is coming to PlayStation 5 with high-end fidelity. So there's that. That looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm actually
but-
thinking about getting it because
Why
I thought
is
it
it
was
a
a free,
director's
wait,
cut?
wait, isn't? Oh wait, it's a right. It's not a free upgrade, is it?
Nope.
we don't know.
Nope.
Did they announce it if it was a
I
free
don't,
upgrade?
I don't
It's a
think
new
so. They
version.
just said director's cut, so I'm assuming it's a new
Oh.
version, and
Okay.
it has to be the case if they made new assets to do that cutscene.
Yeah.
So,
But
which-
how? The thing I don't understand is, it's a Kojima Productions game. Kojima directed the game.
Mhm.
How can this be a director's cut? Because the previous one was a director's cut. It was his vision on the game. How is this a director's cut? I mean, come on. It's his game, his studio.
That's a really
I
fair
had
point.
I had legit the same question. I was like, oh wait, but it's your vision. How is there a director's cut of a director's
Call
cut?
it extended cut or something, but not a director's cut.
Yeah.
I mean, Zack Snyder claimed that title this year. You do something else.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason why he did it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also, I feel like it's a little bit disappointing that they are really that they're seemingly re-releasing the game on PlayStation 5, which probably means it's gonna be costing $80 now instead of what it cost at the
I don't
time.
know.
So it was 60. I mean, you can pick up the PlayStation 4 version. I saw a place that sells it for 17 euros. So
Which is a steal because it's a really good game. I mean,
it is a steal. I really should order it, but I keep forgetting.
Shame on you.
Yeah, but I don't have a PlayStation 4 Pro anyway, so
It
fine,
will
it's fine.
probably look even still on the PS4. It will look really
Oh,
nice.
I don't doubt that because they have to build it for the base one before they do it for PlayStation 4 Pro. But I'm actually surprised that it took this long to have like an upgrade of that game. So yeah, who knows? So outside of that, there were a bunch of more stuff. Sean, you have a list. What was the next highlight from the summer of Keighley?
Jurassic
Jeff-
World Evolution 2.
Yeah.
All right, he had my goodness, Jeff Goldblum. What a
Life,
treasure that
found
guy.
a way. Yep.
What a treasure that guy.
wanna
Also a game
adopt
that
him.
I did not see coming.
I
Unless
know.
you guys did. I don't know if there were rumors going around, but
No.
I should have seen it coming because they did announce that Jeff Goldblum was going to be on the show. So I was like, okay, if he's going to be on the show, it has to be something Jurassic Park related.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was Jurassic Park Evolution 2.
That was a moment I literally jumped out of my chair and cheered. I love no really. I loved the first game so much. It was the most played game on my Xbox the year it came out. I bought every bit of DLC for it. I think I had over 400 hours in that game.
Whoa.
Wow.
I really loved it. It played so nice, and the Jurassic World feeling was so nice. And when they came with the Return to Jurassic Park DLC, and you got all the old dinos and the old stuff, so like the old logo and the old centers and the old buildings. Yeah, I went nuts with that game. I love it so
wow.
much. And when this game trailer started, I looked up and I literally cheered for yes, this is what I want. Bring it to me. Pump it in my veins now.
I have it on PC because it was free with the Epic Game Store last year. And I
Same.
played maybe 2 hours. It's so far I really like it. I just never went back to play even more of it.
It's so cool.
But it's really nice. I like the part that you can take over a Jeep, for example, and just cruise around and take pictures of the dinosaurs, for example. It's
I
really
like the
nice.
part where you turn off the fences and see the dinosaurs run around the gas and eat them and stuff like that. But
Oh
Oh,
no.
wow.
Oh no. The
Is
one
that
thing
like,
I always try to prevent.
Is that the same as drowning or burning your sim in your house?
Yeah, but more
Yeah,
fun.
I actually played this through GeForce Now because I got that same deal on Epic Game Store, and it, for one, runs amazing on GeForce Now. We're not sponsored by GeForce Now. Just saying, I'm just a big fan. But I think I put in at least more time than Sean did. But I think I put in at least 20 hours. And I was
Sounds like some 20 rough hours, by the way that you're pronouncing that.
Well, you know what? It started off great, and then you get more parks to control and manage and build, and basically each island has their own resources, but some of them are shared. Not all of them. Like DNA and stuff is shared, and it's all really cool. But some islands aren't great. Like the first island is just perfect, like perfect weather. You don't have to worry about anything. Like the second island you get is like, oh yeah, this thing gets hit with a typhoon every so often. So be careful. And then it cuts out the power and dinosaurs escape and they start eating people. And then you have to send everybody to the shelters and then you have to build and then you run out of money.
Wow.
But I will say this, it is fun to play. I play with a controller and it's like very controller friendly. I know that there's a console version out, so I think that's how they got the controls to work fine. So I hope that Evolution 2 carries that over, because it's a fun game. I will say this, I will continue playing Evolution a little bit more. I am anticipating this one as well, just because I want to see what they do more, because it wasn't based on like next gen technology. Hopefully this will levy next gen consoles and we'll get even better graphics, some ray tracing stuff in there, more, I guess, more visceral dino chomping for Havoc. I don't know.
Game
So
of
that's
the year.
So
Is it
that
coming out
is
this year?
is it this year? I don't know. I think it's
This year. Is this
2020.
Yeah,
Wait,
no,
it
it's
is
this year.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Nice. All right. So next on the list. What was the next
the
exciting
Korean
thing?
MMO Lost Ark headed to the west?
Oh,
Lost Ark is the name and it's coming to the west. It's a Korean MMO.
oh yeah. That was a thing.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
refilled my glass at that time.
Yeah, I went to the bathroom, so I was
No,
like,
I watched it and I was like, okay, it looks pretty, but not really my
that's
speed.
my issue with a lot of games coming out of out of Asia right now. Is like, we know that in Japan they can make games, and they're proven. But now with, I don't know why it's specifically this time, but you're seeing more games coming out of China. You're seeing more games coming out of Korea, for example. And the funny thing about the games that I've seen so far coming out of those countries is that they look ridiculously beautiful, even so beautiful that I actually wonder if it's real or if it's not all just CG. I know, but I wonder if it's not one of those things that it just looks really nice, but it doesn't play very nice. So it's just like a rotten apple. It looks nice on the outside, but on the inside it's just all rotten. I remember this. I don't know what it's called. It's this game made by a Chinese developer. They've showed out a few in-game trailers or gameplay trailers. It's basically like a monkey fighting with a stick. They released like a trailer like last month of it. It's like a fighting RPG game, and it looks really, really nice. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but like, why aren't we seeing these types of games coming out of the West? It just sounds suspicious, And I remember last year, I think during the Xbox showcase, there was this another Korean game being showed off. It's also coming to PC. It looked like something like Game of Thrones, with knights and open world RPG, stuff like that. I don't remember the name. That also looked ridiculously beautiful. I'm like, this looks too good to be true. I mean, I can't imagine next gen hardware be like a target. Like, okay, we're aiming for this level of fidelity, but maybe it's because we've been let down so many times that we're just a bit more suspicious when we see something ridiculously beautiful, and we're like,
thank you, Ubisoft.
Yeah. For example, yeah. So like, and I know that with this generation, we might actually have to accept the fact that games will look like that. But for now, I'm like really skeptical every time where I see like a ridiculously beautiful game. I'm like, this is a bit too fishy for me.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, this specific game, at least, it was made by a development team in Taiwan, so that it's cool to see games coming from that region as well. So it is really cool to see these. So it is cool to see these kind of games coming out, and if anything, Genshin Impact has proven that they can make competent games that don't just look pretty. So I do have some hopes for this game, but it is an MMO, so I'm not the biggest MMO fan. I would like trying MMOs out. The only real hurdle is the subscription part, and even if it doesn't have a subscription, it's like a lot of time sink. You have to really dedicate yourself to that one game, and I'm not a one game gamer. So that makes it a bit more challenging. You say it like that, like it's a bad thing.
No, it is, because you don't finish any games because of it.
I finished games.
Yeah. We're not gonna have this conversation right now. Next up, Among Us.
Among Us, yes. Among Us is getting some sweet updates.
It's getting hide and seek.
So yeah.
And a Jeff Keighley mask.
And a Jeff Keighley mask, yeah. And
I got that Keighley mask.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It took a little bit of effort, but I got that Keighley mask.
It's also getting 15-player lobbies. I saw yesterday. I think that was yesterday during the Microsoft
That was
press
yesterday.
conference.
Yeah. It's also getting 15-player lobbies soon, which is interesting because I actually recently played a little bit of Among Us, and it was really hard to get people together.
I think like that's the trickiest part, that when it blew up a couple of months ago, it was really easy to get people together because everybody wanted to try it out. I mean, I remember that there was this week in which we played matches for hours each night, and it was really fun. And then like after 2 weeks, everybody was like, me, and then it was really hard to get people together. And it's the most fun, at least for me, when you just play with people and you have sound on, or at least you're in a voice chat when there's a report, instead of just playing with random strangers and then typing what they did. I mean, fun part is that you kind of know each other, so you kind of play into that, and you're like, when somebody's lying, you're like, I can see that you're lying because you're not good at lying, for example. Or hey, in the matches we played, people would bring in personal stuff. They would say like, yeah, but remember that time you screwed me over with that? It's the same like that right now. And people are like, whoa, that's all personal stuff right now. Why are you bringing that in? Yeah, because he's an effing liar, and I know it's because of this and this and this. So, I mean, that does add some flair to the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that they are really dedicating themselves to like expanding the game. I think they also announced that there's a new map coming, but they didn't show anything of the new map.
Yep.
So that's good to see. The next, what's the next big thing that was on that list? Because they showed like a whole bunch of stuff as well. It's like an hour and a half. But let's just go through the real big stuff that they showed.
The new season for Call of Duty, blah blah blah. Skins for Overwatch, blah blah blah.
Yeah. That Overwatch presentation was really poor, by the way. It's just like, oh yeah, new designs for these two characters. Like, wow, that is great effort for the Overwatch 2 team. Like, I'm not trying to disparage anything that they're doing. I'm sure that they're working really hard on Overwatch 2. It's just, if you don't have a lot to show, just don't show anything.
Exactly.
Just tell us that you're still working on it, and people are at least getting the time to do their work, and not being forced to work overtime. And we're good. We're good as long as we know that the game is still in development. It's fine. You don't need to be on stage.
It's time for a new BlizzCon Online.
Yeah,
I remember the last time there was one, you were really excited. So I saw that they're doing an expansion for Escape from Tarkov called Streets from Tarkov. I was kind of expecting that game to come to consoles, but I don't know if it's ever in the planning. But it's still PC only. The game does look really nice. I've heard some people talk about it. They play it often, and they say it's really, really nice. It's just that it's also one of those games you really need to play together with people, because a lot of people are experienced at it, and you always want somebody to kind of help you out in the beginning, especially since it's so gear driven, that somebody might hand you your ass because you have a pistol and they have like a minigun or something like that. Yeah. But hey.
Any more highlights from Summer Game Fest Kickoff?
It's something with an Elden Ring or something. That was a thing.
Just a tiny game,
People were cheering, crying, taking their clothes off, everything.
Yep.
Wait, what now?
Something.
I don't know if that happened to your house, but
no.
Oh my goodness, that was probably the best way to like just end that whole event, because everybody was at this point. I don't know about you guys, but at this point I was like, yeah, that game probably is canceled, right? Because we hadn't heard hide nor hair from it. The pandemic happened. maybe they ran into some trouble. Maybe George R. Martin is like dragging his feet as always. Not just kidding.
He's known to finish his stories on time, but so it could be that.
And yeah, they showed it. They showed it off, and like the first vibe I got from it was very, very Dark Souls, Demon Souls-esque, but with way more action in it. It's way more, like, I don't know how to describe it because the Dark Souls, Demon Souls is an action game. It feels more snappy, like Sekiro.
It looks like an open world action RPG kind of.
It is open world.
Yeah, but like now it looks like an open world action RPG game, kind of like a Horizon Zero Dawn.
That way. Yeah.
Combat. I mean, that's at least the vibe I got from it.
Well, you have a horse.
Exactly.
For now, it's George R. Martin, so maybe you don't have the horse all the time.
Oh, come on. That sounds so sad. That's so sad.
There will be like a red wedding of the horses.
Yeah, if the horse dies, it's game over. You have to walk the rest of the game.
You have to do the game all over again. But yeah, it looks really cool. It looks really exciting. I hope they show some more. Wait, did they give a date on that one?
January.
Yeah, they did. January 22nd, 2022. Very exciting. I just wish it wasn't 6 days before Pokemon Legends. So I'll have to make some choices then.
I think it's like a really obvious. I mean, this is really aimed at the Souls players. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
People that will buy Pokemon will just buy Pokemon.
I think there is some overlap there.
I think a lot of people. I mean, like, I personally don't play Pokemon, so if I had to choose, Elden Ring all the way. And I mean, like, this game won't affect each. Maybe Elden Ring will affect Pokemon, but I don't think Pokemon will affect Elden Ring.
Oh no, I don't think that either. I think it will affect Pokemon. So
yeah.
Both are open world games. Both are doing something interesting and hopefully new and unique. So yeah, that's going to be a crazy seriously, 2 big games in January. That's crazy enough as it is, and one is super duper hyper anticipated for years. So I can see people just being like, okay, the month of January, I am calling in sick. Or I'm taking vacation time off because I built up a lot of vacation time during, the pandemic. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be doing that. So that's fun. I don't know what else to say about Elden Ring except that I'm so happy that it still exists.
Yeah.
And it's really pretty, and it's coming to current gen and next gen. So I don't have to worry about not having a PlayStation 5 or whatever. I can just play it on my PlayStation 4. It won't have the fancy lightings, but that doesn't matter to me. It's all about the gameplay.
Exactly.
I would say that too if I were to play it on the PS4, kind of like a consolation prize. It's not about the graphics, it's about the gameplay.
Very funny.
Hey, that's the whole idea of a Nintendo Switch, right? So.
Wow, dang, Havoc, shots fired over here.
No, I mean, gameplay is more important than graphics. I mean, if we were playing Nintendo Switch, I really don't care. If I play games on my Series X, yeah, graphics are insane. I love them and that kind of stuff. Then I turn on my Switch and all that is gone. I'm just concentrating on the gameplay because that's why I have my Switch for. Gameplay. If I want graphics, I start my Xbox.
Yeah.
I have the same. If I want all out beautiful stuff, I have a PS5 I can enjoy. And otherwise, if my Switch probably gathering dust right now, I'll have to dust it off again. But
well, hopefully the Nintendo Direct will give you a reason to dust it off.
The funny thing is, I have enough to play on the Switch. I don't feel like playing any games at all. So because I have a huge pile of games I need to play on the Switch.
Which reminds me, we still need to play Stardew Valley.
I haven't even started it up. I bought it, but I haven't even started it up.
Don't worry, we'll get to it.
There is one last thing I want to mention because I didn't see this one coming. Is that there are some ex-Call of Duty developers that started a studio. It's called Creation Games. And they were all talking about, it felt like they were pitching their studio. And I'm like, hey, we're not the audience you need to pitch us to. If you want to pitch to a developer, to a publisher, this is the speech you use, not to us. So it felt like, yeah, and we're going to focus on innovation and a lot of blah, blah, blah keywords. I'm like, yeah, fancy marketing, but still, you are not telling us anything.
Yeah, but it's just that. It was marketing. They were like, we have this new studio. We have awesome people. We have the best idea ever. We're innovative as hell. We are the best. We're the greatest. Okay, show me.
Exactly. And like,
Show
and they
me
said, like, "Okay,
something.
tell me." And they were like, no, we can't talk about it just yet. We can only tell you that we found a great partner, and that is PlayStation.
Because of course they did.
So
Yeah.
who knows? I was thinking like this could be. I think seeing as their roots are in shooters, this could be a new exclusive shooters coming from Call of Duty people. So maybe finally PlayStation can have a worthy first-person shooter that's actually really really good. Because so far all the FPS games made in the stable of Sony are good games, but they can never take on a Battlefield, a Call of Duty, or a Halo. So who knows? They might actually finally be able to get a good FPS game out of the stable of Sony. I'm curious. I mean, besides the whole marketing mumbo jumbo, I hope they deliver. But that was an
Yeah.
interesting move.
Yeah. That was that was an interesting thing for them to do. I don't know why they did it in here, but it did give it a way more classic E3 kind of feel to it. You know, like with the press conferences, it really felt like that kind of moment. And I think they're either former Treyarch or former Sledgehammer people, or a combination of the two. I don't know. But at least, great new studio. Can't wait to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that were the highlights from Summer Game Fest Kickoff. So let's move straight into Ubisoft, because that was the next big event, which kicked off on Saturday, which kicked off E3 proper. And yeah, Ubisoft Forward this year was, well, I set my expectations middling, and I was not disappointed, because they showed off pretty much what I figured that they would do. A lot of updates to games, a lot of season pass stuff. They did show off stuff that they already announced, like Far Cry 6 stuff, finally some in-game stuff from Far Cry 6. And the reception on that was...
It was good.
It was good, except for the character models.
I actually like the character models. Is there something?
Yes, some people are like, the character models don't look that great. Like the environments are pretty. Yeah, there are like people saying it looks kind of a bit too shiny and plasticky.
Okay.
Which is weird, because in contrast of like the actual environments, the environments look good. They showed off some gameplay stuff. They showed...
I'm actually really excited for Far Cry 6. I mean, I love 3, and I kind of skipped out on all of them after 3 because they all look the same. But this one is actually the one that's got me excited. But maybe that's because they have like a really good villain this time. That kind of does sell me on it. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to buy it this time, I think.
The thing I really don't like, and I really want publishers to stop with that, is to show us this is what a season pass will give you before the actual game is out.
Yep.
I'm trying to sell you a game, and I'm trying to sell you more before you have 1 second to play with the game yourself. Stop
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Show me the game that I can get on release, and show me the season pass stuff after, but I don't want to see it now.
Yep.
Get out.
That's also why, like, the surprising move of Ubisoft to giving Assassin's Creed Valhalla a year 2 season pass. I mean, it's clearly to gap the bridge between the new Assassin's Creed coming out and them having nothing for the coming months. But like, I don't remember Ubisoft DLC or the Assassin's Creed DLC being that great. I mean, I've always checked the reviews in the past if I saw them, and I was always like, okay-ish. So now you're gonna have to spend another $60 on a season pass if you already got the first one. So basically, you spent $180 maybe, or maybe like $150 on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then you're getting all this content, and you're like, yeah, but it feels so forced, it just feels like they're just trying to milk it out just to kind of... I mean, I'd rather have them not do anything and kind of get me excited for the new Assassin's Creed than that they give me these half-baked experiences, because I might be fatigued with Assassin's Creed by that time and not buy the new game because I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, that's exactly it. I played through Valhalla, and I think around 80% of the game, I was really like, when is this done? I want to go to a next. I'm so done with this game, but you want to finish it at that moment. But the last 10 hours, I really didn't enjoy it. It was just, come on, give me those credits. I want to go.
Did you actually get the credits? Because I finished the game
Yep.
and I didn't get credits, and then I was told like
I
it's supposed to
completed the
end that
entire
way.
game, and literally the moment I was done, I exited the game and deleted off my hard drive. And I was like, never again.
I did the
I'm
same
not
thing.
paying for DLC.
Yeah.
I'm done with this game.
I did the same thing. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh,
I mean, like that's the problem with Assassin's Creed. I think with Assassin's Creed in general, but maybe also with Ubisoft games, is that they build these super big games, vast worlds. It's super cool, super impressive, but the worlds feel dead. Like in Valhalla, it's super big, but there are so many instances in which you're just riding with your horse and there's nothing happening or nobody around. The world just feels dead. Whereas with, I think that's one of the things CD Projekt Red aimed at with Cyberpunk is that they said like, we have a smaller city compared to other games,
but it's super
city,
dense.
It's alive, and that's really the thing. I mean, I only played 10 hours, but it really felt alive because there were so many people walking around. Everybody's doing their own thing. There's stuff happening.
I think that's the reason why GTA 5 is getting a re-release and people are buying it again, because that city is alive. I mean, it's been alive for almost 10 years now. And there's something happening around every corner in that game, and exactly that's what I'm missing in an Assassin's Creed. Yeah,
good point.
I hope they actually shrink it down, because I liked the Assassin's Creed games in which they had just one city or maybe 3 cities, but then it was like focused. But I mean, after even in Odyssey, I mean, I liked Odyssey, but it started in Odyssey and maybe even in Origins that it was this vast world and it just felt really empty.
I long for a game like Assassin's Creed 2. Exactly. You just have 3 cities. If you clear one city, go to the next. You have an objective. You have like 5 hours a city. Do your thing and go to the next. That's way better.
Yeah, definitely. What else did they show? They showed Assassin's Creed. They showed some Watch Dogs stuff. Some Watch Dogs DLC. Good grief, there's a lot of DLC. Aiden is back. Along with Wrench, and they're not friends, as it seems. So that's like some I think it's like some single player DLC stuff. So that looked interesting.
It the zombie stuff, the Legion of Dead stuff, like that. There's a zombie outbreak in the city. It's kind of roguelike elements in it that you have to survive.
Was it?
At least that's running in alpha on PC right now, right? Or is that like something completely different?
I think that's something different.
Yeah, this DLC will come later this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was that DLC. There was, of course, DLC for
everything.
They did show anything? Yeah. They did show a couple of new things. They showed finally, because I thought like, wow, they showed it off last year and then they nothing. But Riders Republic, that looks fun and chaotic. If you're into extreme sports. They showed it, writing down, doing multiple sports, multiple different events. You can start and stop whenever you want, and there's just like a whole bunch of people doing a whole bunch of stuff. They strapped rockets to bicycles. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's like Red Bull and GoPro had a game together.
They actually had a Red Bull, I think they actually had a Red Bull event in there too. Like actual sponsored Red Bull stuff. So that's crazy. Yep. Outside of that, there's like a bunch of other stuff.
They announced a Rocksmith Plus to let you play guitar.
Which is great, because now you don't have to buy a dedicated guitar for it. You just have to own a guitar or a bass.
Yep.
And it's a subscription-based service. You can play it on anything, almost anything. That looks really cool. I've seen the original Rocksmith. It looks interesting, but the dedication thing was high. This is a little bit lower. You still need to own a guitar, which is still not cheap, but you could buy a cheap guitar and use that.
Exactly.
So yeah, that looks really cool. I don't know what the price for it is, but they're going into closed beta soon, at least on mobile. So if you're interested in that, try that. Yeah. And we still have some more Ubisoft stuff to talk about before we go on to Xbox and Square Enix. So stick around and we'll be right back. And we're back with some more E3 goodness. we were talking about Ubisoft. We're going to finish that up and go to the next segment. But there are some games that we wanted to talk about. At least, well, there was a game that Havoc wanted to talk about. I could not care less for this IP, which
Wow.
is
Avatar?
yeah, Avatar.
Why?
I don't like it.
But this game won't be Pocahontas in space. That's the movie. This will be your own version, your
I
own
don't.
story.
I honestly don't care for the universe either.
That's
But
the
you
whole
do
thing I love.
because Mario is going into space, so you do care about the universe.
Hang on. Mario going to space is completely different than this.
How is that different? How is a plumber going into space different than Pocahontas in space?
It just is, okay?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. The franchise kind of ruined a bunch of stuff for me. Like the naming convention of Avatar: The Last Airbender got completely ruined because of it. Although to be fair, I don't mind that Last Airbender movie not having the Avatar name attached to it because that was horrible. But yeah, I mean, it kind of ruined it for the rest of the franchise. They were not able to use that name again, so that I kind of have some pent up resentment on that end. Also, I did not like the movie. Yeah. So, and also, who was looking forward to this? Like I wasn't. Havoc was clearly. I don't know. I don't know what to expect for it. I'm not excited about it. I mean, I'll check it out, but outside of that, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not really into this. I don't know
That's
how
cool,
you
but
feel
I am.
about like the trailer that they showed. At least they actually showed gameplay, which is more than I can say for some of the stuff that we saw at other press conferences. But at least they showed gameplay.
Yeah, I just really love the look at it, the look of it, and that's exactly why I love the Avatar movie. I really love the look, and Pandora is a gorgeous planet, and I like the creatures in there, and the flying stuff that you have to put your hair in to fly, and all the weird stuff. And I think it's a fine setting for a good game. Ubisoft made an Avatar game in the past, which wasn't a good game,
I
but
remember.
now
I
the
remember that, yeah.
yeah, the guys that are working on the Division and the new Star Wars game are working on this one. So I really wonder what they're going to do with this license. I think they announced it at the E3 in 2018 already, or 2017 even. With the movie, what they're telling, we're working with James Cameron on this game, and it's going to be a game that sets apart next to the movies, but will be integrated with the movies to come. So I'm really hoping that this will be a game that will be expanded on with the 4 movies that are coming our way. This could be a good major game, or it could be a big epic Ubisoft fail. But I'm hoping for the first one because I really like this universe.
I think they have a lot of money in it because they have to probably get the license, which won't be cheap. So I do think that they have a lot of writing off of it. And I don't think there's any other developer suited within the stable of Ubisoft besides the people from the Division. Massive. Maybe the Assassin's Creed teams, but then people will probably call it Assassin's Creed in an Avatar shell. So maybe
Yep.
it's good that they're leaving it to these guys. So
I wonder what would happen if the Just Dance team made this.
Oh,
I think
okay. You know what? If it was
that
the
would be
Just
really
Dance
awesome.
team,
That
yes,
would be
yes,
awesome.
100%. I would be like, you know what? I don't like the franchise, but I will pay money for that.
They would
Get your
make
Navi on.
yeah, they would release a peripheral like a tail you have to plug into your Switch, and then you get like rumble through the tail, or I don't know, whatever.
This is actually pretty cool.
Hashtag
you
don't
gotta
sleep.
you gotta jack into the Matrix, with your tail instead of with your with the back of your head. So
Yep.
yeah.
Oh
Yep.
no.
I
Well,
will see.
they also showed Rainbow Six Extraction, which was I
Yeah.
think called Quarantine before this one.
Yeah, and you can tell that they had to rewrite the whole game story because pandemic happened, and it's like probably not a good idea to bring out a game called Quarantine that's about a virus that's out of control. So they changed it to still virus, but alien virus
Yeah.
I
that
really don't get
mutates
this.
into different grunts and whatever. It kind of felt what it kind of felt like, oh man, I had it and I forgot what it kind of felt like something else that has aliens with it that mutate and stuff like that and keeps evolving. It reminded me of Metroid. That's what it was. Like no, not the game, just the whole the whole aliens that evolve and keep changing. Like Metroid
I never
2
played
basically
Metroid, so I don't know.
has kind of a same premise where the Metroids keep evolving. But this is way more of it's Rainbow Six. So it's very tactical, very methodical. You have to like take your time. You can't just go in guns blazing. Of course, there are gunfights. There are gunfights that you have to do, but it's all about the methodical takedowns and making sure that you're not seen and doing objectives. It feels very story driven, so I don't know if it's going to have a multiplayer aspect like Siege does, but it is a 1 to 3 player co-op, and they specifically said 1 to 3 player co-op. I don't know if they said jump in jump out, but at this point, if you're a modern developer and you are doing something co-op, not having it being jump in jump out kind of sucks.
And it will be cross-platform play.
And they are really committing to that, by the way, because with the update to Siege, they were like, yeah, so we're bringing crossplay to Siege, and we're going to slowly start to roll it out this year all the way into early next year with PC platforms first. So PC, Stadia, and Luna. Hi, Luna. It's been a while. How are you doing?
I forgot it existed until
exactly.
I don't even think Luna is out in Europe yet, so it's still like US like beta, and at least they're in beta, so that's a good thing. Stadia, I don't know if it's gonna hang out long enough for this to even matter, but at least the cross-platform stuff and cross progression, and I think that's the most important part. Cross progression is coming also to consoles next year. I think current and next gen consoles. So that's really good if you're playing on one system and you are if you don't have access to that system but a different system, you log in with your Ubisoft Connect. You can pick up where you left off with your perfect progression, which is really awesome. That is the one thing I will give Ubisoft that I kind of wish that all other cross play games did, which is cross progression.
Yeah. The thing that stood out to me is Rainbow Six is this like hyper realistic shooter with stuff that's like it's happening right now. This is how a gun works. This is how a gun works in real life. This is how people react in real life. I think it's one of the most realistic shooters we have at the moment. How do we improve? Let's put aliens into them. I mean, when they showed aliens, I was like, "Is this Rainbow Six? The hell?"
It's a strange combination.
I didn't play Siege, but I did play Vegas 1 and 2 a lot under the old Xbox days, and even those games were realistic as hell. And just the combination of that and aliens is so strange to me. I love it that they're trying to do something new, but it felt a bit like Call of Duty has a zombie mode. Let's do something like that, but with Rainbow Six. So I hope it's going to be a good game. I really hope it's. But I wonder how the Siege community, if they will pick up this game, because the realism is still in the game, of course. But the fact that you're fighting evolving aliens, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know if they mentioned it, but and that's why I'm not 100% sure, is that they did not mention anything multiplayer outside of the co-op. So I don't know, like if it's just gonna be story based, are people gonna gravitate towards it? Maybe the people that are into like playing first person co-op shooters, they might gravitate towards that. I mean, again, I understand the decisions that they made to change the name, to change the story into it not just being a virus that you're extracting people from virus hot zones, but extracting people from a virus hot zones that apparently originated from space, and there are these alien creatures that are evolving from this parasite. It is nice to. It is pretty.
I think they should have just slapped they should have made a new IP out of it.
Exactly.
Should have better said, like, inspired by Rainbow Six Siege is a new game. We call it Extraction, and it is basically la 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 la. I think that would have been better than just slapping.
I think it was too late
onto Rainbow Six.
I think it was too late for them to do that because they already had this quarantine game going, and it's good. Also, did any of you guys notice that on almost every new game that they're bringing out, they're slapping like that little bit of text that says a Ubisoft original game?
Yeah, that's
what is up with that?
Yep.
there was something about it before we headed into E3 that they were going to do that. They were going to rebrand everything to Ubisoft Originals because it sounds fancier, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody cares.
No.
The only Ubisoft original that people were really looking forward to, Splinter Cell, was at the Netflix showing. It's going to be an anime, so hey, Splinter Cell's back! Yay!
That game really deserves.
This is exactly what we wanted, Ubi, a Netflix series. Thank you.
And before that, it was in Ghost Recon Breakpoint for a bit.
Yep.
Or in Wildlands, and it was also in that there's a mobile game in which he is a character. I'm like,
yep, Sam Fisher's everywhere except in Splinter Cell.
yeah. Such a shame.
And Beyond Good and Evil 2. I mean, is that still a game? Is that happening sometime?
Yeah, that ain't like I'm calling it right now. That ain't happening.
With
Michelle Ancel being ousted, nah, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. Especially considering that. Especially considering the fact that the development of it was so start stop. There was like no hope of that game continuing development after that dude left.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So sad.
I mean, same with Skull and Bones. They announced that game like 3-4 E3s ago, and then they said it's still in development. They're just not ready to show it because they are reimagining the game.
Yeah, they're restarting all over again.
Yeah.
I'll just play Sea of Thieves. We'll leave him.
Yeah, especially with the stuff.
Oh, we'll get to Sea of Thieves. Exactly. Believe you me. So then I think the only other thing that unfortunately did not catch us off guard because it was leaked 2 hours in advance by Nintendo, believe it or not, was Mario Plus. Human. I mean, I guess someone clicked on the go live or they didn't check the timer on when it's supposed to go live and it went live too early. But yeah, a new Mario plus Rabbids game called Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. It looks really interesting. They introduced a new rabbit in Rabbid Rosalina and these Luma rabbit fusions called Sparks, which are basically like companion characters that can do elemental damage, and you can like cast like elemental spells. They have changed the gameplay. It's still largely the same thing, but it's not on a grid anymore. So you have free reign in this radius circle that you can move in and attack and do whatever. There doesn't seem to be anything holding you back except for maybe like a time limit. So it feels like it's going to be more free range. They showed a bit of gameplay, but this game won't be out until sometime in 2022. It looked very pretty. Like it looked prettier than the first game. The first game already looked pretty as well. And the interesting thing is they're doing the Kingdom Hearts thing, where the first game is like, it's the Super Mario world and the Rabbids world coming together, and you see the fusion and it makes sense. The second game is more like Kingdom Hearts 2, where you see the Mario stuff or the Mario stuff, and like that's the extent of it. And it's all a bunch of new enemy types. They do have bombs. So that was fun to see. You can actually pick up a bomb and throw it at enemies. So that was really fun. And they added, good grief, what did they add? So in the original game, it's basically literally XCOM. You walk around the world, you come across a battle zone, and you start a battle. In this, you run into a enemy in the overhead world, and then it switches to a battle area. So like a separate battle area where you do the battles in there. So it feels way more JRPG in that aspect. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to do that. They had a cute little presentation with like the developers of the game, with of course David Soliani, who got his little toy ripped from him during the presentation, because he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm here to talk about the new game." Like someone off screen just like ripped it out of his hands. Like, no, you're here to talk about the new game, not the old one. So that was a fun presentation to see. I don't know how you guys felt about it. I know that Sean is like, can take it or leave it.
Super excited. You can see it.
What do you think about it, Havoc?
I didn't play the first game. It's not my type of game. I did play Gears Tactics, and it's kind of in the same boat, but didn't finish it because it's just not my type of gameplay. But I know the first one was a good game because I have a lot of players around me who really love that game. And yeah, what I saw looked good. It has that Mario feel. It has that rabbit feel, and it still boggles my mind that this works so well together, because I hated the rabbits. I really was sick of them after all the Rayman Raving Rabbit stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact that this works, I love the fact that you mentioned Kingdom Hearts. It does exactly that. If you told me Disney Square together works, I would think you're a madman, but it works, and it works perfectly. And the same here. It looks like the universe collide, but it's one universe. It works. It's like this should be how it's done. And I really like that Ubisoft and Nintendo go big on this. And yeah, I wonder if we see more at the Nintendo conference tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope they show more gameplay. I don't know if they're gonna show more gameplay since it's still a year off. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was a little bit rumored, like, oh, there might be a new game. There might be a new game, and then like literally 2 hours in ahead, oh yeah, there is a new game. Whoops,
Yep.
Sorry. So yeah, I think that's about it for the highlights for Ubisoft. I thought it was, yeah, like I said, I didn't put my expectation high. I didn't put my expectations low. It was square right in the middle, and it essentially delivered on having a middling press event, which is not a bad thing. It's just not, blow your socks off amazing, which is not how I would describe Microsoft's press conference or the Xbox plus Bethesda conference, because they really put the emphasis on the whole Bethesda thing, even though they showed like 4 games from Bethesda.
But they started with the best one so far. I mean, everybody's been looking forward to this one, and they kicked it off with Starfield, and they confirmed it's an Xbox exclusive. I'm happy that it's going to PC and to Game Pass. So I will
and to Game Cloud.
Oh, and to Game Cloud. Yeah, I think that, and that's one of the things that I loved about the Microsoft Showcase, is that almost everything from Microsoft's, I think everything from Microsoft's own studios is coming to Game Pass on day one, which we kind of expect, because that's it. But it's also coming to the Xbox Game Cloud Showcase, or what yada 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 stuff thingy. So basically,
what we used to call X Cloud, yeah.
So to that, but also to like the browser version. So if you don't have a PC and you don't have an Xbox, you can just play those games. And I think it offers, and I talked to Havoc about this. It offers tremendous value to Game Pass, and I think that is one of the best things going forward. Sony better. I was talking to a friend yesterday about this. Sony needs to step up and do something about this, because they might have downplayed the importance of Game Pass, but they're not doing anything at the moment to come up with their own answer. In December, they said, we're working on our answer for Game Pass. And a lot of us thought it might be the PlayStation Plus collection, but they haven't added a single game to the Plus collection when it initially launched last year in November. PlayStation Plus has hit and miss games every month. So some months there's some really cool stuff in it, like Final Fantasy VII. Some months there's like nothing interesting in it. And Microsoft is basically showing like, hey, you can just buy a console. You don't have to buy a game. You can get a subscription, and you can just play all the games you want, because they're also adding a lot of third-party games in there as well. So that is the best thing right now.
Phil Spencer actually had an interview with the head of Microsoft this week that was published on Xbox Wire. That's their news site. And they actually were talking about that they're working with television companies to create a cloud gaming app for TVs, so you don't need an Xbox
Right.
anymore. He said the only thing you need is a controller, and you're set to go. That's it. That's their vision. And
they're also working on like a stick that you can plug into your TV.
Yeah. So if that, that's the future. You don't need they're working on a new console. They already told that. They're working on the next Xbox console because they still want that dedicated console for hardcore gamers. Because streaming at this moment at 4K is not an option yet if you want the 120 frames a second. So if you want that, you still need a console. But if you're fine with 4K or 1080p with 60 frames per second, an app is enough these days. And the fact that they showed like 32 games in their presentation and 27 are going to Game Pass. I mean, I bought 2 years of Game Pass for 80 euros last week. How can they make money on this? This is such a great deal. And Game Pass is getting better every day. And I just don't understand how they're making money. But it's getting better and better.
I don't think they're making money off of it. I think it's like I wouldn't say it's a race, but I think it's like this moment, like eventually there's going to be more subscribers to Game Pass than maybe owners of Xbox consoles because the market is bigger, and then it offsets each other because basically then you get either people buy them in bulk like you did, they get like 80 euros in one go, or they have people that have subscriptions. So it's more like a regular streaming revenue. Whereas otherwise, normally it's sporadic. It's like one game comes out, people spend $60 on it, and then for months they don't buy anything because the market is also being dominated by stuff like Fortnite and Warzone. And maybe that's why Halo is making the smart move by throwing the multiplayer out there for free to play, which is like something they announced last year and they showed it off this year. But the only thing I was thinking about is that, so basically now if Halo multiplayer is free to play, then the single player aspect of Halo needs to kick ass because you're going to spend 60 euros on just the single player right now. So it better have something that justifies that 60 euros. Otherwise, people are going to say like, yeah, well, I spent 60 euros on the single player.
Or Game Pass.
Or Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass as well.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. That's true. But like, I mean, that it does change the I mean, it inadvertently puts more pressure on the single player of Halo to succeed in this case.
And what they showed of it was not half bad. It looks way better than it did last year.
Oh, much better.
Woof, they should not have done that last year. It clearly showed that they made a decision and their calculations were way off. But it looks good. It looks way better. It was running at 60 frames during the stream, so that was good. It looked.
It will be up to 120.
The multiplayer, right?
Yeah,
I don't think the single player is 120 though. Yeah, not that I don't think that it needs to be 120 at the single player. So
no,
but at least if it's running at 60, it's fine, right? The multiplayer looks interesting. I wonder if they're gonna bring all the aspects of previous multiplayers back. You know, like Forge. If they're gonna do the return of Forge, because that was really cool with what is it again? Halo 3.
Yeah.
Firefight maybe.
They might bring that back as well. We don't know. They might do like a battle pass since it's free to play.
Probably.
Seems like it. At least they'll do like, I'm assuming they'll do a aesthetic stuff, you know, that, you know, pay for aesthetic stuff and like that's it.
Yeah, they're really going into the cosmetics because if you look at the multiplayer trailer, no two Spartans look alike. And they said there will be more cosmetic options than ever before in a Halo game. And they even got rid of the red versus blue in multiplayer. So normally if you play multiplayer Halo, you're in red team or in blue team. That's not the case anymore, just to show how you look. So I think that will be the way to get money from you, is to buy outfits that you could probably unlock during gameplay as well. But yeah, if you want to do it faster, you just have to pay for them. And if the game is free to play, I don't care about that kind of stuff, as long as it's cosmetics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anybody doing a battle pass and hiding anything else behind it besides cosmetics, because the moment you do it, the pitchforks come out and people start burning you online because they're like, yeah, but why? So I think that's like a big no-no these days with the battle pass. It's only cosmetics. It's like the unwritten rule of a battle pass. Yeah. I saw that there's going to be, because they announced a lot of games, so we'll probably dive into that in a bit. But there were some games they didn't show, and apparently in 3 days they're going to do like an extended showcase, and they're going to dive into a few games such as Avowed, Hellblade, was it
Senua's Sacrifice.
Saga? Yeah,
Senua
Sacrifice.
Saga.
Yeah, that one. The Outer Worlds 2, they're gonna do more about that. They said so. They're gonna do like an extended something in 3 days time. So
Yeah. Yeah, so other things that they showed off, obviously, outside of that, was a new Forza Horizon, which was really
Looks nice.
pretty, like
Yep.
really nice. But then again, it is a racing game, so I don't expect anything less from a racing game to not look pretty. Because they tend to be like partially also tech demos for the new hardware, because it's very easy to do that, because the only thing that you're focusing on in terms of high fidelity geometry are the cars. But this time they not just did the cars, but the environments look like real, like actually realistic.
Yep.
And they did some photo telemetry stuff to like actually scan in environments and put them in the game. So they look like the environments that they are supposed to be. The vegetation is supposed to look what it's supposed to, and it looks like a whole bunch of fun. They are adding this new create mode where you can make your own like mini game challenges and stuff like that. They showed one where you have to bowl over a bunch of pins in an arena. They also have like in-world challenges, because it's like an open world racing game, where you could just like activate and like you can run across a challenge, you can activate it, people around you can join in if they want to. One of them was like running over piñatas, which looks suspiciously like the piñatas from Fortnite. But I
Viva
didn't.
Pinata.
Viva
Or Viva
Pinata,
Pinata. Oh my
which
goodness!
is a Microsoft game.
If they put in
Yeah.
Viva Pinata like Easter eggs in there, that would be really cool.
Yeah. Have you ever played a Forza Horizon game?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
So I
Oh,
played
no.
3, and the thing I loved about 3, and I don't know how it is in 4, but it felt like Need for Speed Underground 3, or like a
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it, and I mean, I basically I remember playing it, and like the first thing that came up into me is like they should just get the Need for Speed license from EA and just do Need for Speed Underground 3. Or if there's ever going to be a Need for Speed Underground 3, this is how it's supposed to be, because it just felt the cars drove nicely. There was such a big variety in cars. The environments were beautiful. The whole idea around that you have this festival and that you're bringing that to a city and that you have to build it out, and there's like a story woven through it. I loved it. I mean, I bought an Xbox One S at the time with Forza Horizon 3. I specifically wanted that pack, and I spent like hours on it, and it was amazing. So since it's coming to Game Pass, I might actually jump back into it through PC. But it's really, really nice. I would definitely recommend it if you just like casual driving or arcadey kind of race games. This is like the perfect game for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It did feel a bit like not Battlefield. Good grief. We'll get to that. It felt like Burnout Paradise, but like
Yeah.
way more open than
Yeah.
that, which I
I
do
think
miss.
it's a British studio, so it could be that there are people working at the studio that came from Criterion, because
it is
does
possible.
feel like it has some overlap in there.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that they announced Forza Motorsport last year with an in-game trailer, and that now Forza Horizon 5 will release earlier. Normally it was a Motorsport, then a Horizon, a Motorsport, a Horizon. But the last Forza we had is Forza Horizon 4. So they're breaking their own tradition with this, and that actually tells me they're really going for the new Forza Motorsport, which isn't numbered at all anymore, because I really think they will build a platform around it that can be expanded upon. And if you see the trailer they released last year for that was in-game engine, that's mind-blowing how that looked.
Yep.
It's so advanced in technology and visuals, and it almost looked like you're watching a real movie. And I'm really curious about how that will look when it will finally release, because they are giving that team extra time now, because we have this Horizon now that's stepping into the place of Motorsport.
Yeah. It's funny because Gran Turismo has been postponed to next year as well. So we'll have an Xbox race sim or race game and a PlayStation race game.
Going head to
I'm
head.
curious to see what will be the better one. I know that Gran Turismo just released one game this generation, and they just made this whole live service around it, and they kept on building on it by adding new tracks and features and cars. And based on what I'm hearing from you, it's like a similar approach that they're going to take with motorsport. In the end, the gamer wins, so that's the nice part about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. The gamer always wins. Well, mostly depends on the game. So they also showed a bunch of other stuff. They showed Stalker 2, which looked
Yep.
like you can really tell that they emphasize the ray tracing in that game because the lighting in there is insane. The reflections are insane. The characters, I'm pretty sure, are insane, as in like mentally. I mean, I think you have to be like a little bit crazy in that kind of environment, right?
The funny thing about Stalker 2 is that the game is made by GSC Game World. I remember, I think that like the studio went either bankrupt or the studio closed down, and then there was another studio that made a game which was like the spiritual successor to Stalker 2. So I was surprised this game got announced because there was like a whole big deal around, because wasn't it that Metro, the people from Metro were kind of like working at GSC Game World, and that was kind of like the spiritual successor to Stalker? I remember seeing like a video a while back in which there was this whole what happened to Stalker, and that the original studio that's making two in this case, they basically shut down and they made kind of like a stealth restart, and then now they're coming out with this game.
I don't know.
I don't know because I am not following the Stalker stuff. Actually,
there was like a whole thing about it.
I think we talked about it the last time we found out that Stalker 2 was a thing. Is that I thought Stalker 2 was already a thing, but it just happened to be that they released a lot of DLC for Stalker 2 for the first Stalker, a lot of expansions. So it's like, oh, okay. So now you're releasing a proper Stalker 2. That's fine. I like the fact that I don't know if the first game was the same way, but I like the fact that since it's in Chernobyl, they're all speaking I want to say Czech. Wait, where's Russian. So that was really cool to see. It's like it's subtitled and everything, and
it really adds to the
atmosphere. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. It adds to the atmosphere. So that's really cool to see. I'm not a big on first person shooter stuff, but stuff like that and Metro do intrigue me in a way that I want to check them out. I just haven't had the opportunity to do so at the time. Maybe I think I bought a Stalker game on Steam once upon a time. I'll have to check it out and see. Like I have a bunch of stuff on Steam I do not remember buying. So yeah, that was really cool. They did show off a new arcane game at the end called Redfall. Well, they showed off a game, but much like they showed off Starfield, where Starfield was in game, this was not. This was pure CG, and it's this multiplayer vampire hunting thing.
Game, something like that.
Yeah, it's like
co-op game. So
yeah, which is interesting because it's coming from the same developers as Dishonored and Prey, which is all single player. So I think this might be their first multiplayer thing that they're doing. Does
I got
trailer
like Fortnite vibes from it?
In what aspect?
Like
oh, you mean like the banter?
Yeah, like the style and the colors. And a friend of mine said like, "Hey, is this Fortnite with vampires?" And I was like, "Well, it certainly does look that way."
To me, it felt more like Left 4 Dead, but then again, we already have Back 4 Blood, so
yeah.
They also showed that, which they have been showing that in every press conference, by the way. Like it also had its own thing. We didn't bring it up, or at least I didn't bring it up because I'm kind of in that they showed a bit too much of, or at least they're giving Back 4 Blood a bit too much exposure. And it's feeling like they're trying to force Back 4 Blood as a thing.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But it looks interesting at least. Redfall looks interesting, but it's CG, so your mileage may vary. There is one interesting thing that I want to bring up before we move on, of course, and that is the fact that almost everything, I think pretty much everything that was announced at Xbox's presentation had a date. Either it was coming out in 2022, which Havoc gave me a nice little rundown list. Thank you, Havoc. So basically, there are 6 games that are coming out in 2022. including Starfield, which actually has a date as November 11th, 2022, which is the 11th anniversary of Skyrim. Yeah, because Skyrim is turning 10 years this year and it's on everything. I'm actually surprised they still haven't announced the next gen version of that. But I
thought they were going to do it then.
Exactly. I think it's going to happen any day we're out. I think they might shadow drop it. Party Animals, which is also another game that they announced, looked really interesting. I think it's already out on PC, but this is coming out on Xbox 2022. A Plague Tale is getting a new a sequel called Requiem. So if you have ratophobia, do not play that game because there was an ocean. There was a street filled with rats. Yep. I did not know what it was until I saw the title and was like, "Oh, they were rats."
Did you play the first game?
No, because it's filled with rats and it creeps me the
F out. It's really an awesome game. It's really good.
I heard, but the rats creep me out. It just reminds me of this scene from The Simpsons where the gym was overrun by rats and Bart tells Milhouse, "Don't open your mouth," and he says "what?" and like 10 rats jump into his mouth immediately. Yeah, so that's basically a Plague Tale, but like way worse. They showed Slime Rancher 2, which I did not expect. Which is
never heard of it.
They did. The first game is on PC, and I think also on Xbox.
Yep.
It apparently is really good. And then Replaced, which is this 2D like side-scrolling action game, which the characters really are pixel-based, really good. Like the animation is like so smooth.
Yep.
And so pretty. Everything else outside of that is either out now on Game Pass or has a date coming up really soon. So for example, Battlefield 2042, we didn't really talk about that, but that looked insane.
That looks amazing. I just want to take like a few moments because I mean, I'm a huge Battlefield fan. People know that.
We know that.
And like, I effing love that game because it looks like Battlefield 3 and 4 in a modern setting. I mean, I've watched the trailer a gazillion times. I cannot wait for that game to come out. It's multiplayer only. They've confirmed that. Mm-hmm. It's going to be 128 people online on next-gen consoles or PC. Current-gen console 64, but hey, who's going to play that? They are going to do something around crossplay, but they haven't revealed all the details yet. I mean, holy crap, that game just... I want it. I mean, they've added stuff like the crisis customization, so you can customize your guns in-game, so you don't have to go to the deploy screen and then pick a new class and change the attachment. So you can, like, on the fly, change your loadout. There's specialists in there that all have different skills. It looked beautiful. I mean, I want Battlefield now. You should have felt ready. I want it.
Yeah, it's coming out October 22nd.
I talked to a friend and he said, I told him, like, I'm actually looking more forward to this than to Horizon Forbidden West. Ooh. And he said, oh, yeah, the same. We want this right now because it's the same guy that I played Battlefield 3 with, and we put in over 300 hours in Battlefield 3. For me, that's a lot. And I mean, it feels like a lot of those Battlefield moments are in there that just make Battlefield what it is. I mean, I'm playing Call of Duty right now, but it's more like to pass the time. Friends of mine are talking about the new Call of Duty that's coming out and if they're going to buy it or not. And my answer was literally like, I don't care about y'all. I'm just buying Battlefield. And if you want to play along, you'll play along. If you don't want to play along, I really don't care, man, because I'm going to play this. And we're like, yeah, but we don't know if we're going to buy it. I'm like, you don't have to play hard to get for me. I'm not going to do it, you know? So, yeah. Battlefield.
Yep. And with that, we will be right back with the next segment of this episode. And we're back with more Xbox goodness because it could not be contained. I will say this, they're the ones that at least at this point had the most games to show. And like I said before, there were a lot of things that are coming out this year that is coming out to Xbox and to PC. One of the things that they showed off was something that I don't think anybody was expecting, because it started off and then you hear a very familiar narration, not game related. And then it introduced the character, and that character was Jack Sparrow. So you can already imagine which game I'm talking about, which is Sea of Thieves, which is still going strong. And I honestly believe that Game Pass is one of the only reasons that that game still has a life, because it's free if you have Game Pass.
That's the important part. If you have Game Pass,
if you have Game Pass, it's free, just like almost anything that Microsoft puts out. And I don't know how much they had to pay for this, but I'm assuming it's a lot since it's a Disney license. But yeah, they got the voice actors. They got the actual actors to reprise their roles, including the voodoo lady.
Was it Davy Jones one the one? Because it doesn't sound like the one.
It was him though. At least I'm pretty sure it was. I have
Really? Because he didn't sound like the Davy Jones actor.
I'll have to double check the credits, but I'm pretty sure it was. But at least they did get they got Johnny Depp to reprise his role. Which
Microsoft has some deep pockets if they
exactly.
get Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's not like I don't think that they didn't get the guy that did Davy Jones. I'm pretty sure it is, but don't forget that movie is also like 10 plus years old now, I think. So, people age and they sound a little bit different. I mean, James Earl Jones doesn't sound the same as he did back in the 70s. So,
yep.
Yeah, that looked very interesting. I was like, oh, okay, they're actually doing single player stuff for Sea of Thieves. That is not just more Sea of Thieves. It's actually specifically Pirates of the Caribbean themed. Dang it, what was the title of that again? A
Pirate's Life,
which is the most generic pirate theme name that you can think of.
Yeah, but if you go to the attraction in the Disney parks, the song actually go yo ho, a pirate's life for me. So that's literally what the attraction is about.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what they're gonna do because it is story based. What that entails. Am I gonna get Sea of Thieves? No, but I would still play it if I get Game Pass Ultimate. Just to check it out.
Game Pass Ultimate?
I might. I'm done. Okay, like honestly, right now after this event, I am feeling Game Pass Ultimate more and more, but more on the cloud side because again, my PC is not that great, and not everything runs on my Mac, and something like the Xbox Game Cloud service is very great. I mean, you guys already know this if you're listening to the show. I champion GeForce Now whenever I get the chance because it is the best way I've been able to experience my Steam library, my Epic library. Ubisoft games work on there as well. Certain EA games, unfortunately, I think, not Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Unfortunately, it would be nice because then it would give me an excuse to actually get EA access and play that. I still need to play Watch Dogs Legion, and I still need to.
If you play Xbox Game Cloud, EA access is in that, so you should be able to play Fallen Order through that, right?
If they make it available through the cloud, because they still need to make it available through the cloud service.
Aren't all the games on Game Pass playable on the Game Cloud?
No,
not
the
all.
only games that were Microsoft and Bethesda games.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Everything else,
since
it's
on
optional.
Game Pass, it's automatically in the Game Cloud.
I'm logging into my cloud right now, so I'll check if it's there.
Yeah, because basically it's an Xbox. It's running off of Xbox hardware, so I wouldn't understand why they wouldn't give you that option.
I think it's something to do with like deals that they make with the publishers and developers. So if they don't allow it to be, I mean, it's the same thing that happened with GeForce Now, remember? Where it went live and a bunch of developers and publishers were like, what are you doing? We don't want this. And it's like, but you were in the beta. And it's like, no, it was not in the contract. And that's why we don't have Kerbal Space Program on GeForce Now anymore.
Oh.
But at least my new Mac runs it perfectly, so I don't have to worry about that. But it's still nice to have it in the cloud so I can play it anywhere where I go on my mobile or on like my dinky laptop whenever I go anywhere.
With the broken hinge.
With the broken hinge, oh my goodness, that thing is falling apart. It's so sad. But at least it doesn't have to suffer because I got a new Mac, so at least that's good. Yeah, but like the cloud thing intrigues me the most because at least with Microsoft games, you can guarantee it. I think um, Flight Simulator is coming to the cloud service if it's not already, and that game is so gorgeous. Like it is so pretty. I want to fly around in that universe all the time. I also want a jet, but we can't all have nice things. They are adding to Flight Simulator a Maverick expansion. To be more specific, a Top Gun Mavericks expansion for whenever that movie releases. I was like, oh, okay. It's like, no, it's like the legit thing. They had the music in it and everything. And I'm like, okay, that I did not see that coming. I don't know how that feels like that should be a part of Flight Simulator, but there it is. I guess for the dads among us, um, or the Top Gun enthusiasms, or
Well, I was really happy when that team started to play because the trailer was over and you hear that new 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 new. And I was, oh, this is like Top Gun, and you see that plane come up. So, oh, this really looks like Top Gun, and the Maverick logo. This is Top Gun. Oh, this is kind of cool. That's a free update, so
really cool. Yeah, and it's free. Like, okay, seriously, again, Microsoft with the deep pockets. Because I'm pretty sure that like if it was any other game, any other developer, any other publisher, you'd have to pay for it. So
yep.
It's nice that it's free. Then we have Age of Empires 4 being shown for the first time. It's coming out this year. It's coming out October 28th. October is stacked, people. It is a stacked October. I feel like we're back to normal almost. I don't like. I think
really
it looked nice.
Forward to it. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. You know that I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to challenging you once again in the pantheon of strategy gaming, strategy RPGs. I mean, strategy. Oh my God, what is it called again? What's
RTS games?
RTS.
Real-time strategy.
Grief. Good grief. My brain is fried. E3.
It's been a long E3.
It's a long E3, and it's not over yet, people. But yeah, I felt that it looked fine.
It looked really nice for a strategy game.
Yeah. So
it's not like a Total War, or it's not a Total War level, but
no, but still
the art style matches. It matches. You know? They're not aiming for that super realistic, but they are aiming for detailed, and I like detailed more.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh. Like first I was like, wait, what is this? And I was like, oh wait, this is Age of Empires, isn't it? It's Age of Empires 4. It's like, and then it should look like yes. Oh man, that actually kind of got me pretty hyped. So yeah, that is coming out this year. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I kind of want to play that. Let's get going. I hope that comes to the cloud. I think that comes to the cloud. I didn't see that logo.
It's a Microsoft game, so probably
that would be really nice. So they showed that we already talked about Horizons. They showed Back 4 Blood. We've already talked about that. They showed some more of Far Cry 6. They showed that you can have a rooster decked to the nines in armor, spiky armor, and then have them sent off to your enemies and take them down. I don't know how PETA would feel about that, but it looked badass. Come on, it's a rooster with like a spiked collar going after your enemies. Who would not want that?
Yep.
Like if you were like 12 and you're going to school and you're being bullied, you're like, yo, rooster, sicko. Man, that is awesome. But yeah, that would look really cool. They showed 12 minutes, which finally has a release date. Finally. We've been like me and Sean have been looking forward to this game for quite some while because they announced it like 3 years ago.
Something like that.
at the E3 of 3 years ago, and it's a very interesting concept because it all takes place in this one room with this husband and wife that basically get like either murdered or kidnapped or assaulted essentially in their home, and it takes place in intervals of 12 minutes, and the guy keeps resetting back, and you have to figure out what's going on. They have some stellar voice cast working on that one as well, with Daisy Ridley and
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe, and who's the other guy? Who's playing the main guy?
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy. I was thinking like the guy from Split, and it's like, oh yeah,
it's Professor X, it's the Green Goblin, and Rey Skywalker in one game.
That is so crazy to think about. So crazy to think about. So that looks really interesting. I really want to play that game, and I don't think that one is officially coming to the cloud. I hope it is, because it looks really cool, and I wanted to play for a really long time. If it doesn't, I probably could play on my PC. It doesn't look like something that would, break your graphics card. So there's that. They showed off Diablo 2, the Resurrected edition, which is
I'm so ready for this game.
I love what they did with this one. For one, it looks way better than what they did with Warcraft 3
Forged, like they call Warcraft 3 Refunded.
Yeah.
I mean, that bad?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It's that bad. Yeah. But they got the team that did the Crash Bandicoot titles and the Tony Hawk game remaster. They are actually working on this. So they proved they can bring an old game to these days. And
nice.
Tony Hawk and the Crash Bandicoot were great re-releases of the game. And
yeah.
I mean, Diablo 2 is still the best Diablo game out there, and there's still people playing it to this date. And the fact that you can import your save game from the game you started all those years ago to this game and just continue where you left off, it's so awesome.
Really?
I hope you still
have you can. If you still have it on your Battle.net account, you can import your save game.
Nice. That's okay. That is legit awesome. They also, I don't know if I played Diablo 2. I don't remember if it had 8-player multiplayer. Did it? No. So the 8-player multiplayer is new. Awesome. That's awesome. And you can switch between the old graphics and the new graphics. And holy smokes, it's night and day. Like the lighting, the geometry, just everything. Like it's still 1-to-1, but the fact that you're thinking in your mind are like, oh, this is what it was. This is what it looked like when I played Diablo, and then you switch back, and it's like, wow, that is not how Diablo actually looked like.
I really like the fact that they updated not only the graphics, because that's like duh, but they added stuff to the graphics. So like in the old game, you have a wall, and now on that wall you see a skeleton hanging or the blood spatters, or so they're telling more story with the new details that you don't miss if they're not there, but because they're there, they're adding so much more to the game. Where the dungeons are more evil and macabre because of that kind of stuff. So I really like they're doing that. So they're really taking the extra mile to not only bring the game to now, but adding to the game without adding to the gameplay.
Yeah, which is really cool. But at least they learned their lesson, I want to say. But at the same time, this might just be a coincidence. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's really
if you they started the pre-order right now on console. You could already pre-order on the PC, but the console pre-order went live yesterday.
Okay.
And if you pre-ordered for console, you'll automatically get the beta. And there is a deluxe version. If you buy that, you'll get Diablo 3 right away with it.
Oh, nice.
You can download the Diablo 3 with all the expansions and DLC right away.
Oh, that's actually nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
For the same price, right?
Oh, no, that's 20 euros. 20 euros more.
Yeah. Okay.
But 20 euros for your complete Diablo 3 experience is not that much, because there are loads of hours in that.
Yeah, there is. Hades is coming to Xbox with a physical release and PlayStation on August 13th. Did I say 12 minutes? 12 minutes is August 19th. Diablo is September 23rd. And then they showed off Psychonauts, which is finally coming out as well, which is coming out August 25th. Looks really nice. It looks really crisp. The writing is still there. The characters are still fun looking. The levels are still like an insane asylum. So that's, that's what you want from Psychonauts.
It's Tim Schafer all over the place.
It's the most Tim Schafer that Tim Schafer.
Yep.
So that's good. That's nothing but praise. Because that dude that has some really fun ideas. And I think they showed like a trailer, like a highlight trailer with a bunch of stuff, including Fable and Elder Scrolls 6 and stuff like that. So just to remind you, like, these games are still in the works. They're still there. We're still working on them.
Yeah, because actually things like Fable, Motorsport, Perfect Dark, Hellblade 2, Indiana Jones, Elder Scrolls 6, State of Decay 3, and Everwild from Rare. Those are games that are in development, and we saw at the last conference.
Yeah.
But weren't in this, so I don't think they haven't updated. But there's still more than that that they showed today or yesterday. So yeah, the thing I took out of this conference is it's really good to be an Xbox player or to have Game Pass at this moment, because you don't have to. I don't have to buy a game anymore. That's about it. Because all these games will be in my Game Pass account, except for Battlefield and Far Cry. But the rest I can play with Game Pass, and it's just there's so much good stuff going on. This is the vision Phil Spencer had when he took over the game of the Xbox division all those years ago. And I think all the cards are on the table now, and this is where Xbox is heading. I think the Xbox player has a bright future ahead. Yeah.
So, dang it. So okay, so I mentioned that I gave the Xbox presentation like a B plus, mostly because it was a step above what they did last year, whatever that was. But going through it with you guys again, I think I have to bump it up to an A minus, because there are a bunch of games that I'm looking forward to, and I love the concept of Game Pass, especially Game Pass Ultimate with the Xbox cloud gaming option. And it's just, man, it's such a good value. Like, why do you even if you can't pick up an Xbox Series S or Series X, why would you? If you have a PC and if it's a game that's available in the cloud, just get it. Or if you have a PC that's decent enough, you have Game Pass Ultimate to look forward to. It's great. If you have an Xbox One, I'm pretty sure a bunch of these games are also still coming to Xbox One. You can pick those up as well. You can play those as well.
Yep.
It's a great deal for like what, $15 a month?
And don't forget, if you have a PlayStation controller, it works with Game Pass games. You can literally just hook up your PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 controller and play. So you don't even have to buy a new controller or anything. You have everything you need. That's it.
I'm pretty sure it also even works with my wired Xbox 360 controller. So
yeah,
I still have that. Sue me. I am thinking of getting a new controller to use on my PC, so I might actually pick up a series controller.
Get like those crazy colors, like the lime green one or something, or they have these really cool color schemes for it.
Yeah, I might actually look
you
into.
can design your own one.
Are they doing that already now? The design studio?
Not yet. If I went to the website 2 weeks ago and it said we're coming back soon.
Okay.
I did that for the Xbox One. I ordered 2 controllers there, and I'm still waiting for my Series X to get a new fancy custom-made controller.
Maybe I'll wait for that then. All right, so that
in Mario Red and Blue.
Does it have to specifically be Mario?
It's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Nintendo and basically you.
All right. Well, that's ironic. I am wearing a Mario shirt.
That's why. That's why.
So that was it for Xbox. Unless you guys wanted to talk about anything else before we move on to the final presentation that we're going to be talking about today.
One more thing. If you want to laugh, check out the Outer Worlds 2 trailer. That was so fun.
Yeah.
The fact that they're literally telling you how to create a trailer if you don't have a game or graphics or anything. That trailer is so amazingly good. I really laughed my ass off.
Bar none, the best trailer of the entire show.
Exactly.
Bar none. Oh my goodness. I totally forgot it. Wow. Why did I forget it? That was that name, right? Also, it was the guy that does the trailer voices for like Honest Trailers. I forget his name. It's like John. That dude is amazing. I love that guy. And it's just such a perfectly constructed trailer for indeed a game that doesn't exist yet. It makes me happy that Outer Worlds is getting a sequel. It makes me sad that it's not multi-platform anymore.
Well, but still, PC,
Game Pass.
Yeah,
exactly.
Game Pass is the solution to everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. I really think between now and 2 years, you can have Game Pass through the browser on your PlayStation 5. I really think that's going to happen.
I don't think so, because Sony's
possible.
going to ask for a lot of money because they already do that for.
Hey, you can browse to any website you want. It's browser enabled.
If it's coming to mobile, then why shouldn't it come to PlayStation?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So if anybody has anything else to talk about Xbox, let's move on to the last presentation. And I'm pretty sure we're not going to talk a lot about it because there was, for one, not a lot shown. And for two, it was horribly paced.
It was the worst out of all.
By far. But the long weekend is still young. We might see something absolutely wretched from other stuff. But yeah, that was Square Enix. I didn't get my hopes up because they have, in the past couple of years, they have never had a press conference that was exceptionally good. They might show a title that's good or interesting, but like the entire presentation is never a good thing. It's not a great thing or even good or okay. And this was no different because they started off with a new title, which is Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, made by Eidos Montreal, which I forget what game they did.
Deus Ex.
Yeah, they're the Deus Ex guys. They're doing a Guardians of the Galaxy game where you play a Star-Lord. The other Guardians are there, of course. They are not based off the movie, but specifically more original from the comics. And they're bringing like a bunch of stuff from the comics in because they also had like some advisors from Marvel chiming in like what to do and stuff like that. And they had this whole presentation, and I kid you not, this presentation for this game had 3 endings. They had the initial announcement, and then they ended it, and then they did a developer interview, and then that ended, and then they did, I think, a 10-minute demo, a 10 or 12-minute gameplay demo from, I think, either early of the game or the start of the game or something. And it just kept going on and on. I'm like, okay, we get it. Move on. And then I realized, oh no, they have nothing else to show, do they? Because the whole thing took 20 minutes. I timed it. It was maybe give or take a few minutes on and off, but it was 20 minutes of just that one game.
Yep.
And it looks fine. And it's interesting enough. But why so much time? If you have nothing to show, just make your presentation shorter.
I think this was they got a lot of slack with the Avengers game last year. Yeah. That the fact that the single player wasn't that good and that the multiplayer just people didn't care. And I think they really wanted to show this game off on, hey, this really is a single player game. There's no multiplayer. You can see this is a story-based game. Every bit of feedback they got on the Avengers, you saw coming back in this game reveal. And they nailed the style, the music, the characters, the banter between them, the fact that you can have your options, the fact that you put the rocket into the cage, or if you put Groot in the cage, and if that has any value in the gameplay. That kind of everything they didn't do well on Avengers, they showed in this game. Okay, we do it well this time. I think that was just the whole idea behind this presentation. Personally, after the trailer, I had enough. I was like, okay, I want to play this game.
Yeah,
that's enough.
Okay, well, I still feel like it's the kind of the same as in Avengers. I mean, I still have that. Oh, so this is how someone in Japan thinks that Star-Lord would look like. I mean, that's the same thing I had with how the Avengers characters were designed. Yep. Is like a Japanese guy thinks, oh, if I think of a Western dude, yeah, this is probably a Western Tony Stark. Where it's like, no, man.
It's like they're using the MCU characters if you bought them at AliExpress.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but despite the fact that they were designed by literally Americans.
Yeah, but like I would almost say that it's more like the Americans are building the game, but like all the visuals or all the concept art or whatever is just like given to them in a PDF. Like, this is how we feel the characters should look like, and this is how you are going to make the characters. You don't have any leeway. This is how these characters are going to look. And I'm like, that still looks like Japanese inspired to me. And
It's
Well,
a
like-
good thing if you want to sell models and extra skins and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you do a pre-order for the deluxe version, you'll get extra models that actually look like the comic book versions of the characters. So
Yep.
for me, that's okay. Maybe I will go with that because I like those models better. So here
Yeah.
you have 10 euros extra.
They get
Yeah.
you on those 10 euros.
I don't
Mhm.
know. I felt like if they ended it that first ending, it would have been fine, and I would have been at least interested enough to see more of it. And now they just shoved it down my throat, forced it, and it's like, yeah, I kind of don't need to see this right now. But it did get a release date, and it's coming out
October this year.
this year, like the 23rd.
Pretty fast.
Yeah.
Or 25th or something like that. So that's good, I guess. From there, it just kind of all went downhill. They showed off a new remake of Final Fantasy 1 through 6, and I've said it to my best friend, and I'll say it again here. They are just disrespecting the history of Final Fantasy so much over the past decade or so. They put out those horrendous mobile games that looked absolutely atrocious. They put it on Steam, which looked even uglier. They didn't, like, before that, they actually respected the games enough to give them good remakes, and now it's just like they're just shoveling it out. I already said that about the whole Mana franchise. They kind of did the same thing there as well, where they kind of half-ass most of it, and once in a while they'll do something interesting. So these are supposed to be pixel perfect remakes of Final Fantasies 1 through 6. They didn't show any footage. It's only coming to mobile and Steam, so not even to consoles, which is even weirder. And it's not a bundle. It's all individual games that you have to buy again. And people will yammer about Nintendo doing that, but this is really bad.
I said to a friend of mine, these games or these remakes are to Square what Pachinko is to Konami. And in both cases, it's not good.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not.
I mean,
all.
I told you guys before we started recording, somebody should just put them out of their misery and just buy Square Enix all outright and just say like, okay, the time that you put out mediocre stuff, it's done. Yeah, you had some good hits with Final Fantasy. Yeah, you bought Eidos and got some good games out of that, but it ends today. We're not going to do this anymore. Because, I mean, they announced some new kind of spin-off in Final Fantasy. It looked horrible. It looked like a poorly inspired Japanese God of War. And I was like, is this really how you want to put this game out there? I don't even know what the name is and I don't care, but it looked awful.
Yeah, it's Stranger in Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. It's a retelling of the original of the first Final Fantasy game. So
I couldn't be bothered to play it. It looked so bad.
It's a
Yeah, so this
retelling
was-
of a spin-off of a sequel of the prequel that actually came out by it's so much Final Fantasy based on one game. Let's make it a Final Fantasy.
So it is made by Team Ninja, not by Square. It is directed by Tatsuya Nomura, which explains the clothing, and the aesthetics in general.
I would expect more from him.
Really?
He did Final Fantasy VII, right?
No, he did the art for Final Fantasy VII. He was not the director of Final Fantasy.
Oh well, it's still if you do the art for Final Fantasy VII.
He's also the reason why Final Fantasy 15 had to be called Final Fantasy 15. Because if you remember, that used to be Versus 13.
I know.
And they had to take the project away from this guy so that it finally was able to release. Which is saying a lot. Again, not a knock against the guy. The dude is a great artist. It's just, I don't think he has the directing chops. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I saw that too, and I was like, no. Yeah, let's move on from that. It just makes me sad. They showed off Legend of Mana that's coming out on Switch and PlayStation 4. Sure, whatever. They showed a new Stranger Things. No, Life is Strange, True Colors, which
That looks
uses
nice.
the power of empathy. And I was talking to my friend. He's like, "Wow, so apparently empathy is now a superpower." It's like, yeah, apparently so. The game looks really pretty. The empathy thing looks interesting because it still retains the point and click adventure tropes of that game series, but now they've put it in a way where you're not only reading people's emotions, but you can either take them away, you can manipulate it, and it all changes how the story unfolds. So it looks interesting. And I think if you buy the deluxe version of that, it comes with the remastered version of all the games before it. So that's also
No,
pretty
only
nice.
Life is Strange 1 and Before the Storm, not 2.
Yeah, not two. Still, that's a good deal. But Before the Storm is new. Oh, sorry. Two is recent, so it makes sense. It doesn't need to be remastered.
No.
They showed off.
Some
Uh,
DLC for the roadmap for Avengers,
Yeah,
yeah,
Black Panther.
the Black Panther. I really
if
think they're
you're
nice.
interested in that, and that's and they
Yep.
showed off more mobile stuff like the Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale mobile game and the what is the other mobile game that they
First
showed off?
Soldier.
Yeah, First Soldier, and they showed off another mobile game. I don't remember, and I'm honestly kind
I
of
was checked out at that moment.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
When
mean
they show mobile
Couldn't
that's a
stuff,
care.
it's kind
shame.
of over.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a shame because I mean, like a lot of people know, a lot of people are expecting Square to do more with Forsaken and Final Fantasy 16,
yeah,
but they didn't show anything about that. They said they'll
I
do that in another event
I
later
think
this
they're waiting
year.
for Tokyo Game Show. That they tend to. I think that's also the reason why, because their Tokyo Game Show presentations tend to, or presence tends to be way better than their
Yep.
E3 showings. So I guess we'll just have to wait until then.
Yep.
And that's basically it for the first couple of days of E3. What are you guys? We have a couple of minutes. What are your guys' hopes and expectations for the days to come?
Well, there's a Halo multiplayer reveal later today, which will go more in depth into the Halo multiplayer. And since Halo is completely my jam, that's E3 for me. So yeah, I don't care what happens after that.
You can die
I will,
happy.
yeah, if I die today, it's okay.
But then you haven't played Halo Infinite.
But I've seen it. It's there. It's been there in my life. No,
It's-
that's all I really care about at this moment. I want to see what Halo does, and since that's the game I'm gonna play for the coming generation, probably. That's it. Just show me more Halo. If E3 is Halo all day long, it's okay by me.
All right, Sean.
Next month is EA Play, so I hope to see more from Battlefield. But going into the next few days, I honestly don't know because this is like a new format. I know that Nintendo is doing their event in tomorrow, so I hope to see some Breath of the Wild stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I mean, I'm surprised that Sony is not doing anything around E3. I mean, um, yeah, they basically proved last year and the year before that they can survive without E3, and then when they do an event, it still generates buzz because they did like the PlayStation 5 review event last year, and that just was a great event. It generated buzz on its own. But I mean, going into this holiday season, um, you kind of want your people to know what you're going to do for this holiday season and for next,
Mm.
because basically what Microsoft did is they said like we have 30 plus games that are coming out between now and next year. All are going to be hopefully amazing. There are some killer games in there, such as Starfield and Halo and other games. We know that Sony's doing Horizon probably this year. We know that they're doing God of War next year. We know that they're doing Gran Turismo next year. And that's it. We don't know what they're doing for. I mean, hopefully they're working on Spider-Man 2 for next year. I doubt it. But they need to like come up with show some games where like people can get excited and they're like, oh yeah, it's still a good time to be a PlayStation gamer instead of saying, you know what, I'll just buy a Series X next to my PS5 because it's gathering dust because there's nothing to play on it. But hey, that's just my thoughts.
Well, we still have some Capcom stuff to look forward to that's coming out today. The Halo stuff is coming out today. Tomorrow we have Nintendo, of course. So I'm looking forward to whatever they're going to show there. They're probably going to show a new Monster Hunter. I mean, Smash Brothers character, because they tend to do that at E3 as well. My fear is that it's going to be not Monster Hunter Rise, but Monster Hunter Stories related. If they do that, I'm out. I'm just out. I'm hoping they show more Animal Crossing stuff because it's been a while since they've done a big update there. This one actually suggested by our good friend Liam over on Instagram. Shout outs to Liam. Check out his Instagram page. Awesome. I'm looking forward to Nintendo stuff. Mostly titles. I want to see some stuff that I don't expect. I hope some 35th anniversary Zelda stuff. Come on, give us something. You did a big stuff for Mario in the reduced time that you had. You did some cool stuff for Mario. Please do some cool stuff for Zelda because it earns it, because it deserves it. I hope they do cool stuff for Metroid and Donkey Kong because those are also celebrating anniversaries this year. Outside of that, I have no idea what to expect further on in terms of software. And of course Namco Bandai, they showed a bit of Arise during the Game Fest. So I hope they show more cool stuff there as well. And that'll end E3. So, Sean, will you wrap it up for us?
I will try to do the honors. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for being here, Havoc. It's always nice to have you here.
No
you
problem.
provide us with the Xbox insights. You want to plug something of yourself? Where can people find you?
starwarsgames.site on Instagram, and just type it into your web browser and see what happens, because it's also a website.
People should definitely check it out. I know you've been releasing some really cool Star Wars videos on YouTube about the history of Star Wars games. I tune in every week to watch them, so I really like them. People should do that as well. As for us, you can find us on your favorite podcasting platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, blah, blah, blah. All the casts were there. You can find us on Twitter, game_rivals_. You can find Maximilian there as well, at Maximilian. You can email us at gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com. At Game Rivals on Instagram, that's where I'm mostly at Maximilian_X, that's where he's at. And on that note, I have been and always will be Sean Templar.
And I have been and always will be Maximilian X.
And I'll think I'll be Havoc NL for the rest of my days.
And we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.
Later.